Hi everyone, it's Nikki from Music Means Business. I have Michael Jeeves with me from the Pushworth group. Hey Michael.
Hello. Hey Nikki, how you doing?
Good. We're going to do some Music Means Business business casts today. And the first one
Yeah.
we're talking about is setting up your LinkedIn profile so that your skills as a live music artist can be transferable to any other job. Obviously, so many people are sort of scrambling for employment. So now's the time to upgrade your LinkedIn. We give it a crack.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
I think just for people sort of tuning in and that sort of thing, should we explain what LinkedIn is first if they're unaware of what LinkedIn is?
Yes, you can do that.
Right. So it's basically it's almost like social media, but rather than just photos of what you had for lunch and things like that. It's more about what you're doing in your professional life and what you can add to other people's businesses from your experience, basically.
And it's a good way to network because you can do a lot of research about what people are doing. It's kind of like Facebook for jobs, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I had to physically force Mark and Michael to set up their LinkedIn a few years ago. But I think it's been really worthwhile, don't you think?
Yeah, it is. It does. It helps keep your finger on the pulse with what is happening in your industry and in other industries. So if anything, it's really good some information gathering. But it certainly does help give you street cred because corporate if you're dealing with corporate clients and things like that, all of them do go and actually have a look at your profile first to check out that you're actually legitimate and who you say you are and you're not just some stranger hack off the street.
And also with all these, I guess, funding opportunities that are happening at a local, state and a federal level, they're going to be checking in at your LinkedIn profile. So instead of a rush to fix it, we're recommending that you actually take the time to set it up now and keep updating it. So let's start with a list of the transferable skills. All right. So the first one is problem solving. So Michael, talk to me about what it's like at a live local show with all the things that go wrong and all the problem solving you have to do at a show. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I think it's something that is quite overlooked by musicians in general. Like you've got your guitar, you've got your PA, you've got your leads and all that sort of stuff, or your iPads and everything you need. And I think what a lot of people forget is have a backup because things can break. It just what happens. So the last thing you want is a call from an act on a Friday night going, oh, I left my microphone at home. Have you got one you can drop out to me? And in most cases, the answer is no. So I would say have a checklist at home. Probably pack your car the night before and make sure that you've got everything there. And then also have a box of spares that you take with you. So you get your normal box of leads or however you carry them around, but then have a spare of everything as well. And that'll that's spare strings, microphones, cables, stands, all that type of stuff, because you just never know.
And when you're updating your LinkedIn, put problem solving and put things like, I have the ability to set up a backup list. If I lose power, if I'm running late, if a lead stops working, or whatever the issue is, I can handle it because I'm really good at problem solving.
Yeah, and I think that gives a lot more confidence to someone that's potentially going to be paying you to perform. So I think it's really important if they got peace of mind, they know that there's a backup plan in case something happens. They know that you've got their back.
Exactly. All right. The next transferable skill is the ability to read and communicate in an artificial language. So music is like maths. So it's an artificial language. And musicians actually make great programmers because they understand how to use an artificial language. So Michael, talk to me about what it's like as a musician using this different language and how it changes the way that you think about things and that you might respond or communicate.
Yeah, well, I think that it sometimes can make you have a different view on the world or a different view on different things. So it's learning, and it's learning to understand that and how to transfer that to what you're doing. So, if you need to create a certain atmosphere when you're playing, or if you need to, set the mood or set the tone and that sort of thing, It's having the ability to sort of draw on your experience and draw on what you've sort of done and from playing and listening and all that sort of stuff to be able to do the right sort of set the right mood for what's sort of happening out there in front of you.
Not a lot of people can do that. So if you add
No.
that as a skill on your LinkedIn, it's a really good one. The
Yep,
next one
absolutely.
is being detail orientated. So think about how much amount of large amounts of detail that you guys have to think about. So your PA, packing the car, setting up, pulling down, the song itself, like all of the parts, the harmonies, the rhythms. How much detail, Michael? Talk about this, what you have to think about just to do a gig.
Yeah, you can't have the approach, if you want to be a professional musician, you can't have the approach of just, that old blues mentality. Not that I love blues music, but you can't approach any profession with we'll just slap it together and see how it goes. It just is not good business, basically. Like, you've got to be prepared. You've got to, make sure all those things that you do during the week, your years of studying or your years of practicing your craft all come together to create a whole night. So you've got to have a plan for that sort of stuff, and you've really got to what's the word? You've got to kind of make sure that when you're planning the night, that it has all the different elements that's going to make it a performance or make it a show. I don't think you can just go, oh, we'll just turn up and see what happens.
So think about that. How many other professions have to think about the level of detail that you have to think about?
Yeah.
That's an important skill that you need to add to your LinkedIn. The next one is really good memory skills. So, my God, I remember I used to wake up in the middle of a song and go, what song am I singing? And if I thought about it, I'd forget the lyrics. You got to think about how many sets of lyrics, the music, the whole production. So Michael, talk about that in terms of a live show, the memory skills that you need to deliver the show.
Yeah, look, I think some are better than others. But I think the more that you can do it by memory and not rely on words or iPads and different things like that, I think the more you can do that and the more that you can show that you're actually engaging with what's in front of you, it's going to be a lot better. But look, it takes years and years of practice to be able to memorize songs and remember chords and remember arrangements and all that sort of stuff. So it's it's one of those things and those skills you just need to keep working on all the time. I don't think a musician should ever get to the point where they're like, yeah, I'm satisfied where I am. I don't need to practice.
But there's so many other professions where you don't have to have that same level of memory skills. So that's an enormous one to put on your LinkedIn. And the next one is, and this is a really good one, the ability to do repetitive tasks over and over and over. Like, how many times have you had to do Wonderwall or right? And most businesses fail because they don't appreciate, or they're just like, I'm so bored, I don't want to do the same thing over and over again. But as a musician, you have to. So talk about that, Michael. That's a big one.
Yeah, I think so. Let's break it into two. Pre-lockdown, there was a real a lot of musicians had a sort of chip on their shoulders. I've been doing this 20 years and I'm sick of playing those songs. I don't have to play those songs. Nah, if you don't like it, go away. I think now, because everyone's gigs are taken away, they sort of play anything now because they sort of appreciate how great it is to have gigs and to have performances. And I think when you are doing those repetitive tasks, so look, I firstly think that will change now. People are going, oh, just have a gig. But I think what is important to remember is when you're doing a performance, the performance is not about you as an individual. It's about the people that you are performing to. If they're having a good time and they're enjoying themselves, it's going to ultimately benefit you. And, I've Wonderwall, for instance, I've calculated the amount of gigs I've done times the average time of that song, which is 4.5 minutes. Usually it goes longer because we get people sing along. I spent over 9 full days of my life singing Wonderwall.
I love it.
That's only as a professional. That's not the 5 years before when it came out, before I started doing professional gigs, you know, at parties, you know, sitting around with friends when we're studying. Oh, let's pull out a guitar and have a sing song. So if you can't, you know, trying to find a way to enjoy those songs, even if you played them, you know, yeah, it's repetitive, and yeah, you played it thousands of times, but if you are not focused on yourself and you see that every time you play that song, people are dancing, they're singing, and they're having a great time, well, what more do you want? I mean, that is just that's fantastic. That for me is what I sort of get off on gigs. Like, cool, people having a great time. This is awesome.
And how good is it that you actually have the ability to do so many repetitive things over and over again?
Yeah.
So put that skill in your LinkedIn. The next one is a big one, time management. So jobs really need someone who's efficient with their time. Now, as a live music artist, if you can't master time management, like, you're just not going to survive. So Michael, talk about all the different ways that an artist needs to focus on, or does already focus on, time management.
Yeah, well, I think Google Calendars have sort of helped a lot of people get a little bit more organized. I mean, I know, like, for years and years we've been really organized with stuff with our system that we have here in the office, but you know, when you get the worksheet, and when you get like the worksheet from us with with the date on the contract, and it's got the venue and it's got the times, that's the first point to go, okay, this is what I have to do to execute this contract. And then you need to go, okay, cool, it's Friday afternoon, I'm driving north the Bruce Highway, I know traffic's going to be bad, so you've got to allow extra time, and then you've got to know how long you need to set up, and then how, you should, I know some acts have in the past, I only need 15 minutes to set up, so they get there 15 minutes before the gig. But there's all the other stuff that happens before that, whereas if you're not getting to the gig, number one, not in a frazzle, all of the 15 minutes, take the time to get there a little bit earlier, be a bit more organized, set up, say hi to the manager, put on some music, some background music, create a bit of an atmosphere, and then, things are, so that when you start, it's like, okay, cool, they're expecting something, so this guy gets up and, hey, I'm going to start playing. And then, with set times as well, and break times, mapping those out, so you're doing a full set gig, 45 minutes on, 20 minutes off, and doing things so that your night is, manageable. You know what to expect, and you know how you need to pace yourself to get through that as well. But I think that if you're not organised, you become frazzled, you become a little bit erratic, and it's just, people pick up on that energy straight away. So yeah, having your time management is so important. There's nothing worse than getting to a gig late, and it does happen, but there's nothing worse than consistently getting to a gig late and being frazzled and just out of sorts. And they're not going to get you're not going to perform at your best, and people aren't going to see you at your best as well. So yeah, time management is super.
And simply just by doing shows all the time, you guys are perfecting time management, and every organization has such a high value in that. So add that into your LinkedIn profile.
Mm-hmm.
The next one is a huge one. It's the ability to be able to visualize a project before you've actually started it or you've completed it. So when you're out there gigging, like, when you just start with, I guess, thinking about starting a band, that's a huge thing. You've got to visualize it. Performing a song, even before, I'm leaving out original projects. This is just cover projects. So Michael, talk to me about what it's like to visualize, because this is a big skill set that is hugely transferable to any situation. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, I think, when an idea comes to you, those moments are exciting because you're being creative, and it's always, if you're not getting those ideas, it's probably time for a holiday. But when you are, when you're being in a creative space and you're coming up with ideas and coming of ways to do things, when you get that vision, then sort of sit down, write it out, and sort of get a plan. And then, if it is a band or it's something more than just a solo performance, think about the people that you've met over the years. Look on LinkedIn. You might find some really good people that have got the same sort of vision. So and it's about creating a synergy with other people and finding a way to work together for this goal that you've had. If it's a good enough plan, people, if it's a good business plan, people will, want to be involved in that.
Yeah, so value your ability, you creative beasts, you can visualize and then create. Not a lot of people can do that. And the next one is multitasking. Michael, how much multitasking do you do? I mean, my God, you got to do your bookkeeping, you got to pay your band members, you got to organize your band members, you got to maintain your PA. What other kind of things? I mean, you're always doing stuff. Give us the list.
Yeah, it's literally never ending, and it does come down to being organised. And Monday might be invoice day, Tuesday might be gig guide day, Wednesday is make sure that everyone in the band knows where they're going for the weekend. I mean, everyone's got that in advance, but just being making you lists are the most amazing thing, and having a list of things that you could do each week. It's all those things that you do behind the scenes that will, that no one ever sees, no one's ever really interested in about, but it's all that stuff that's going to make you a better performer, a more reliable, artist and all that sort of thing as well. So, yeah, it's just so important.
It's huge. I don't think you guys understand how amazing you are at this whole delivery of your live show. So as Michael said, write it down, because it's the skill sets that you guys have are so transferable. I can't believe my phone's ringing. I'm turning it off. And I think finding creative solutions, that's a big skill to have.
Yeah.
Let's talk about all the things that go wrong in a show, Michael, where you've got to come up with something on the spot. You can't just go, oh, look, I'll get back to you. You've got to deal with it there and then. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, look, you never know what's going to happen at a show. You can be having the greatest night and your voice blows out, or your PA blows up, or something happens and someone trips over a lead. Look, it literally comes down to being prepared, being organised, and having those backups in place. There's nothing worse than things going wrong with gigs. It does just destroy a whole flow of a night. But if you can have different backups and different opportunities and different things that you can offer to people, and always talking to the venue manager when they're there. It could be something that's your fault. It could be something that has happened from the venue's end as well. So the more that you can have different ways to make yourself more reliable, I suppose, is going to be, they're all things that benefit you and your business.
So ultimately, like creative solution, put that down on LinkedIn. And finally, really, I guess as Michael's been talking, you guys are the ultimate project managers. Yep. So as Michael said, do a plan, outline everything, be prepared with your contingencies. So write down on your LinkedIn that you are an efficient project manager, because if you're not going to be able to survive your shows. So talk about that, Michael, in terms of, okay, what's a project? Okay, let's use an example. Setting up a new tribute show. Talk through the steps of what that would be as a project management outline.
Yeah, so I mean, what you do is that you obviously find whatever tribute you're going to do, and then you go through the catalogue of songs and you create a set list out of that, and then it's from that stage it's getting the band members together and making sure that everyone learns their parts, and you probably have like a month of just everyone at home going through learning the songs, and then you start putting rehearsals together after that, so that you're not just going into it wasting time cold. You should be able to put together two sets of that sort of stuff in about 4 rehearsals. If you've done your month or so of rehearsal, you should do that. And from there, once you've got the songs all down, it's then a photo shoot, doing a bio, doing a demo, doing a video, so that we as agents can actually market the show and actually send it out to clients and that sort of thing. And then you've got the whole thing of then getting the show booked in. Then you've got all the marketing involved with it as well. some shows are ticketed, some shows are, so you've got, you may have to deal with ticket sales and promoting that way as well. And then you've got to actually get fed and go out and do the show and make sure you've got costumes and make sure you've got backdrops and lights and PAs and stuff. So there's so much.
I hope your head is spinning because it's a huge project just to do one show.
Yeah.
So I hope that you guys can actually take notes from this, update your LinkedIn. I'll do a little list and put a little link so you can download it if you need it. But I guess one more thing I'd like to say is doing cover shows, Michael, that kind of helps you to stay connected to the trends and the cycles with what audience is like as well. So that helps you to actually make creative decisions about what project you're going to be starting. Think about, you've got to add that there too. It's an enormous skill set that you have that can be transferable to most jobs. So I want you to take the time to appreciate yourself today. Your job today is sit down and write down all these great skills and then update your LinkedIn and then sit there and go, wow, I'm actually a really great asset.
Yeah, it's an amazing amount of skills that, musicians think that, I can sing and play well, that's all I can do. But if you actually, really think about it, the amount of effort and the amount of sort of skills that you've gained from doing the same thing year after year, you actually really value, what you're creating value for yourself.
Yeah.
There's so many skills that you've learned just from going out and gigging.
Just from gigging. Yeah. All right. No, that was a good one, guys. Thank you, Michael. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
The next time we do another music business cast. Ciao.